back to my own.
Yo, what's good, family? It's your host, KCDG. It's the King Table Podcast. And you know how it go. We'll be right back. Peace, man. What's good with you, KI? Oh, you got me something up over there.
OBS ain't gonna let me do what I want to do.
What happened?
So OBS ain't gonna let me do what I want to do.
All right, scratch
You know?
that. We'll reroute it. Figure it out.
Yeah, man. So, but I'm here though in the building.
Shout out to the viewers, man. And today we're gonna get into a little bit of the American history before colonization. And without further ado, I'm gonna get into this video. I want y'all to keep context. I'm not gonna play the whole video. I'm gonna start from about halfway in, and I want y'all to let me know what y'all think in the comments because this is about the Seminole Indians that was never conquered, and uh, yeah, we're gonna get into that right about now. Let me share my screen. Right about now. Okay, this is for educational purposes. This is a dope YouTube channel as well, Kings and Generals. You guys go subscribe to that. This video is the Seminoles, Native Americans who never surrendered. All right, now without further ado, let's get into this video.
After this, Jackson proceeded down the Suwannee River, burning every major settlement along its shores. All organized resistance was soon stamped out, and the Seminoles were forced to abandon northern Florida, dispersing into the central and southern swamplands. Jackson declared victory and sent most of his army back to their homes, ending the First Seminole War. Jackson's escapades had angered Britain, whose citizens he'd executed, and Spain, who technically still owned Florida, but neither country could really do anything about it. In 1819, Spain gloomily accepted the inevitable and just sold Florida to Washington for $5 million. The Americans were now free to ramp up their war efforts against the Seminoles. Recognizing this, most Seminole chieftains sued for peace in 1823, signing the Treaty of Moultrie Creek, which shrunk their territory down to a reservation in the inland swamps of central Florida. However, as Seminoles continued to treat
Nigga, they sold Florida out for $5 million, bro. That's low, dog. That's low.
white settlers with bitterness and continued to harbor escaped slaves, tensions grew once more. In 1830, Andrew Jackson was elected President of the United States. One of his first initiatives was to get Congress to pass the Indian Removal Act, a piece of legislation that mandated the expulsion of all Native Americans in the eastern United States to a designated Indian Territory west of the Mississippi, a policy that would lead to the infamous Trail of Tears. The plan was to move the Seminoles out to Arkansas Territory, where they would be settled in the same reservation as the Creeks, since the U.S. government did not see a difference between the two tribes. Naturally, the overwhelming majority of Seminoles were deeply opposed to not only having to leave their homes, but having to live with their ancestral Creek enemies. When 7 Seminole chieftains were invited out to Arkansas to survey their prospective new lands in 1832, The majority of them declared that they would keep their people in Florida. However, 2 chieftains did submit and signed the Treaty of Fort Payne. Operating in utter bad faith, U.S. officials claimed that per this treaty, all Seminoles were now bound to move west, despite the majority of them having never agreed to do so. The Senate ratified the document in 1834, giving the Seminoles an ultimatum to vacate.
Shout out to the viewers, man. James Hudson, I see you, bro. What's good with you, man? Appreciate you boys tuning in. Muslim McGeechee, what's good? Chaotic Porter, y'all go subscribe to them and check out the content that'll be coming on the way. We're going to get back into this video.
Florida within the year or be removed by force. One Seminole leader particularly enraged by this was a chieftain named Osceola, who quickly began rallying other chieftains in preparation for the battles to come. Osceola was a fascinating man. He had actually formed a dysfunctional friendship with one Wiley Thompson, the U.S. federal agent who had been put in charge of deporting Osceola's people. At one point, Thompson had even given Osceola a rifle as a sign of respect, even though it was against U.S. policy to arm Indians. This was a fatal misjudgment of character, for on December 28, 1835, the Seminole chieftain assassinated Thompson outside Fort King using that very same gun. Later that night, a column of 110 U.S. soldiers, led by Major Francis L. Dade, was ambushed by a Seminole raiding party led by Chiefs McCanopy and Jumper. All but 2 of them were massacred. The Second Seminole War had begun. It would take 7 years and many campaigns for the United States to end the war. Entrenched thick in deep, inaccessible swamps in the interior of Florida, the stubborn Seminoles proved an incredibly tough nut to crack. Their main force of warriors were based out of their lake stronghold on the Withlacoochee River, known as the Cove of the Withlacoochee, a nearly impenetrable natural location protected by thick swamps and seasonal floodwaters. American attempts to draw the Seminole out of their den and into open battle proved utterly fruitless. Knowing they were heavily outnumbered, the native warriors simply retreated into the deep swamps whenever a U.S. army of significant size approached, knowing the dense, marshy terrain made tracking them nearly impossible. The master guerrilla fighters struck quickly, attacking isolated platoons and supply convoys before disappearing effortlessly back into the misty longleaf pines as quickly as they had appeared. Various U.S. commanders did find some success, but they were never able to pull the Seminoles out of their homeland by the very roots. Things looked increasingly bleak for the Americans when the Seminoles launched a spree of aggressive raids in the summer of 1836, attacking homesteads and plantations across Florida. To make matters worse, disease had also begun to spread in the U.S. ranks, resulting in one of their staging points, Fort Drane, being abandoned in July. It would only be when Major General Thomas Jessup was put in charge of the war in December 1836 that the tides began to turn. Jessup realized that to beat the Seminoles, you had to fight like the Seminoles.
Shout out to Muslim Geechee. No, brother, this gonna be the new Aborigine History channel. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Jessup split his 9,000-strong army into small raiding parties, and instead of going after the main native stronghold, focused on his own ruthless brand of Fabian warfare, targeting Seminole villages, stealing their cattle, and harassing their women and children, all to wear down the resolve of their warriors. This plan worked, and by March...
All right. So while we on commercial break, anything you want to add to that, Chaos?
I mean, nah, even when you fight with the same strategy, you can't achieve any traction. It says a lot about, the opponent you're fighting. That's for sure.
I want to point out how it took such an organized and, massive army multiple times to try to conquer just this one state alone. You feel me?
I
That
mean,
I found heroic is.
remember
Yes.
there was a particular army that lost almost completely because of lack of resources. And then you have a group of people that were trapped inside of a specific ecosystem. They adapted so well that they were able to sustain a fighting force for longer than the people fighting with unlimited resources could even like handle.
Shit, man, that come from what my boy Kwame Brown say. Well, that's fighting for when you connected to something, import export. Yes, sir. You already know, and that and here in Florida, you can get it from all angles. You know. All right, we got a few minutes left for the video. Let me get back into it.
700 Seminole warriors had surrendered to the U.S. garrison at Fort Brooke, where they were put in holding cells pending their deportation west. Despite this, the light of Seminole resistance had not been entirely extinguished. In June, Chief Osceola fought his way into the poorly garrisoned Fort Brooke with 200 warriors by his side.
And you want to know what's crazy, bro? That it's actually a county in Florida called Osceola County.
And Seminole County, what you mean?
Yeah, Seminole County. You know I know Seminole County. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's
And
the
we
whole
gotta
purpose
stop
of
saying
video.
we gotta stop saying Osceola. I need to say how they said it the right way.
What's that?
It's not Osceola. They didn't let the dude say this guy's name. You know what I'm saying? When he say it different. We hear Osceola, when we in the area, you feel me? But I need to hear he says it a little different, but I think that's the right way to say it. And I'm not gonna say it the wrong way no more after I get it down from what my man's is saying in the narration.
All right, I'm gonna get back into it.
Listen to him.
He convinced the interned warriors not to give up the fight and led them back into the swamps to continue the war anew. Jessup resolved to neutralize his Osceola problem by
another landmark. It's a Lake Jessup. No lie, it's a Lake Jessup in Florida.
No lie, that's definitely nice area.
Playing dirty. He invited the Seminole chieftain to a peace summit at Fort Peyton under a flag of truce. This proved to be a ruse, and as soon as he arrived, Osceola was attacked and imprisoned.
Osceola.
Jessup's act of treachery sent shockwaves throughout the American public, who had come to admire Osceola as an honorable and valiant foe. Both Congress and the national press decried Jessup's tactics. To this day, some historians still refer to Jessup's deception as one of the most disgraceful acts in American military history. Osceola decayed in captivity, developing a sickness, and died 3 months later. His American foes afforded him a proper burial at Fort Moultrie with military honors. Fighting continued throughout 1838 and 1839, but by then, the writing was very much on the wall. In 1841, Colonel William J. Worth was able to finally drive the Seminoles out of the Cove of the...
Do I even gotta mention Fort Worth?
Wait, check me out, right? Check me out, right? So the thing that's kind of killing me, right, is like, how do you use a tactic of such despicable measure, as in flying a truce flag and then capturing once he arrives, and then still a whole lake named after you? Like, you still get a landmark, you still get honor for ages. Like, you gain your fame, your victory through pure deception. I mean, but that's the country we live in.
But the inspiration in this story is what happens next, even though that happened. You feel me?
With Lakuchi, over 4,000 Seminoles put down their arms and submitted to U.S. authority, allowing themselves to be deported to Indian Territory out west. What few remained in Florida, a paltry 300 or so souls, were relegated to the Everglades, the southernmost tip of the peninsula. By 1841, large-scale fighting had more or less ended, and the Second Seminole War was over. One would think that with their population reduced,
Hold up.
the remaining Seminoles in Florida would be...
What you got?
Okay, so looking at this map, right, we know where Seminole County is at, and we know where Osceola County is at, right?
Right.
So those two places are locations of the original encounters. If we look at that old map where the original fight took place, it was more accurate to where these places are named to where they were at. Now they're in South Florida. That's nowhere near the landmarks. So I'm pretty sure there's some land in this area that has more historically relevant names in it that we just haven't been made aware of just yet.
Oh man, it's so much history. Okeechobee. I mean, it's so much. I can go please, but it's factual. Like Seminole County is nowhere near here. Seminole County is like central Florida.
For sure.
So yeah, it's a little bit of manipulation in the naming of these counties and everything too to keep us off balance and everything. Of course, Geechee, what's your question, brother? Anytime. What's your question? Just drop it down in the chat.
Done with war and resigned to relocation, but the spirit of defiance had not yet been broken. In 1845, Florida achieved statehood, and as a result, the United States ramped up its efforts in removing every last Seminole out of its borders for good. By 1850, the federal government offered a monetary bribe to every individual Seminole who agreed to move to Indian Territory out west, $450 per woman and $800 per man. This proved largely ineffective, and by 1852, only 100 or so had agreed to depart. War was once more inevitable, and began again in 1855. This time, the resistance was led by a chieftain known as Halpuda Miko, meaning alligator chief, although he was better known by his English name, Billy Bowlegs. Bowlegs was determined, but with only a tiny handful of warriors at his command, all he could really do was commit raids in smaller states, picking...
You think they all had bow legs?
Man, let me tell you something. When you walk in the swamp for a long time, if you think about it,
yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking about, bro. Like,
please.
I damn sure used to get caught with that shit.
When you walk with a hump because you creeping, you know what I'm saying? It's going you and bow out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Bow leg,
of isolated farmers and fishermen. In 1856, Brigadier General William S. Harney was put in charge of the situation. He built a chain of fortified outposts across central Florida, and from them sent patrols to scour deep into the Everglades for any Seminoles. However, Bowlegs and his fighters were like ghosts, having slipped into the deepest, most isolated of swampy quagmires.
Let's get into that, Geechee. Let's get into that. You say Central Park was a black community that got flooded out. Where that happened at?
Run it back what you said?
It's on the screen. Do you know that Central Park was a black community that got flooded out?
Only recently. I seen it on a video pop like 2 months ago. Because it's the same time it was brought to my attention lately there, and then I kind of dug a little deeper into more.
Shout out to Ray Charles Burnett.
More area that may have been
like, subscribe.
Pop, what up, Pop? We got Lake Lanier research. I dug a little deeper. Central Park came up, and it was a lot of cities, of course, and you know the southern states, but there are quite a few up in the reaching up north too. So we can't ignore that.
You know, I might dedicate an episode to that. All cities that was like destroyed for mischievous reasons.
It's gonna be after a series, not an episode. Real shit. It's a long list.
Well, that's true. We'll start with Florida. We'll start there. But yeah, I want to get into the Geechees and all. we're gonna get into all the American history that's not talked about. So I'm gonna continue.
No patrol was ever able to catch them, although the Americans burnt down Seminole villages and croplands, which the natives had been forced to abandon in their retreat. Despite this, no surrender came. The federal government resorted to bribery once more. This time, they promised the Seminoles the original monetary compensation, as well as a reservation separate from the Creeks. These terms were agreeable to most of the remaining Seminoles, and in 1858, Bowlegs and some 160 of his people finally put down their arms and agreed to go west. Despite this, there remained some 100 Seminoles in Florida, 100 souls who never agreed to give up their land, who never signed a peace treaty, who never surrendered. After the Third Seminole War, the US government was aware of these last remnants, but with so few Seminoles left in the state, they adopted a new policy that basically amounted to whatever, man, and let the matter rest. Today, the Seminoles are a people alive and well. A total of 16,000 of them live in Oklahoma, the descendants of those deported during the wars. Those who remained in Florida eventually gained legal recognition from the United States government in 1957. Today they number 4,000 strong, known as indigenous pioneers of trade and business. The story of the Seminole is a stirring reminder that throughout the American continent's many colonial wars, some native tribes never stopped fighting, never surrendered, and to this day still inhabit the very same land as their proud warrior ancestors. We always have more stories to tell, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button. We would like to express our gratitude to our Patreon supporters and channel members.
Definitely subscribe to that channel. It's a dope channel. Okay. Got some more comments. Hold up. It's a good look like this. Yeah, we appreciate you, Ray Charles Burnett, man. Like, subscribe, and we do this every day. It's the KingsTablePodcast. If you want to come, add your 2 cents. You can come jump on the panel as well. I dropped the link for you guys. Just let me know in the chat. You know, say
Hey,
some of us some star people. What up?
I wonder how we want to take some time and it was something I just seen something in the chat I wanted to dwell on. I wanted you to mark it, but I can't see. Let's see. Oh yeah, the most black communities become swamps and parks. I wanted to talk about the multiple levels of that whenever we caught the chance.
That's true. Hold on. And you know, I want to do something on that because I know that there was a lot of bloodshed for land in Florida alone. So I wanna dedicate us a difference. We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that. That might be part 2. Say some of us Geechees are star people. Soon you will be able to tune into the higher level of people's minds. Only a few of us Geechees can do it. The channel lit. Shout out to James Hudson. We appreciate you, brother.
I mean,
Hey, somebody told me earlier that when I salute with my left hand, that's disrespectful. I'm like, that's kind of where you from?
I mean, that would be like if you were military or something, and you went through some formal training that told you to salute with your right hand, and then that would be the opposite of your training. I can see that disrespectful, but if you took, if you just whichever free hand comes, I mean, people are sensitive though. You're always gonna find some sort of criticism, and no matter what we do, be it purpose or accident.
To answer your question, Ray, we usually focus on social topics, anything trending. But right now we digging deep into the history bag because it's a personal belief you gotta know the history to really know how to succeed forward. And from my understanding of from American history and learning in the institutions, I always thought that Florida was a slave state. But from what we just learned, that was the place where slaves went for safety. That's what it led to. So that's very informative. I learned something tonight. But yeah, day to day, we usually post. If you got something you want us to talk about, feel free to drop it, bro. We don't be tripping. History is a mystery. Yeah, so much deception. But the only thing that could really root out anything is genetics and discoveries, proof. But some things you just can't fake, like facial features. You look at the statues and all the great monuments. We know what they look like. So I know you guys also see that I got American history and I got in quotations linguistics in parentheses. I mean, and there's a reason for that. I'm gonna play a little 10-minute clip that's gonna get into the linguistics and how grammar is being used to manipulate your realities. We're gonna get into that too. I'm glad you bring that up, Muslim Geechee, because this video touches on that as well. So I'm gonna get ready to share my screen. If you haven't done so yet, please like the video. We're gonna take a dive on the deep side. Right about now.
Hey, as we get into this one, let me say a lot of people are going to be speechless.
Pun intended.
Pun directly intended.
Relates to writing letters out to form words.
Okay.
The magic's the word
Okay.
spelling.
Let me get right. Let me be proper. The channel is Illuminati Congo. That's weird. Shout out to Illuminati Congo. Yeah, occult secrets of grammar. This video is for educational purposes only. Here we go.
And spell not only relates to writing letters out to form words. A magic spell and spelling with magic was the original purpose of words according to Tahuti thought. To spell is to cast magic energy with a definite purpose. Write and writing is significant as well, for it contains the word rite, R-I-T-E, as in ceremony or ritual. This word is usually related to secret traditions utilized to assist one in living.
Okay, the reason why I think this video is relative to the topic of American history is because at some point in time, those Aborigines had to learn the language to trade. So the language that they picked up, I'm now informing was, created to enslave them furthermore mentally. Just my opinion. I think allegedly I snapped them crazy. Shout out to Kwame Brown.
Living magically. Also, the word right is the same sound as right, R-I-G-H-T. Right angles are 90 degrees, a square. This 90, or number 9, speaking in numerology, is found in all sacred geometric angles in some form or another. The word itself has two other phonetic relatives in this conversation, world and world. The word makes the world. The whirl or spiral is the common natural geometry of the world as observed in the golden mean, Fibonacci sequence, celestial movements, and the spiraling galactic patterns. Word also is similar to the word wood. A log is a bulky mass of wood, and logos
I dropped the link for you, Geechee. I'm gonna get through this video and then I'll bring you on panel and we'll have an open discussion.
Means word in Greek. In the Bible, book of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word, or Logos. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. The word lodge, as in Masonic lodge, comes from the word Logos. This is the only place the magic secret word can be uttered. Considering Jesus, who is called the Word of God, was said to be a carpenter who splits wood, may be relevant to this view as well. A letter is like a streamer or acceptance, or one who lets or accepts and allows. Letter says surrender and let her, letting the infinite intelligence flow. Letters form words or worlds with whirling chakric energy. Letter is made up of let, allow, and ter, earth or terra. A period is like the bindu, or red dot. Another red substance that dots is called period, the menses. This dot also forms the point in the circle that represents Ra in the Egyptian cosmology. Interestingly, the pronunciation is period, yud or yod being the name of the smallest Hebrew letter, which is the first letter of the name Jah or Yahweh and Yehoshua. In light of considering the period which stops or stills a sentence, one is reminded of the biblical injunction, be still and know I am Yah. The word grammar can be found in tetragrammaton, the magical Kabbalistic formula. The etymology of grammar is very interesting. The Old French form is grammari or grammar. Not only is one of the various forms of the word more found in this name, but the original definition meant learning incantations, spells, and magic. In Middle English, grammar was known as occult knowledge. The word para means supreme in Sanskrit. Graph means to write, chart, or plot. A paragraph is essentially smaller ideas that form one bigger supreme idea with an intention of charting a point of reference in the holographic universe.
All right, we halfway through, so I'm gonna stop it. Now I'm gonna let everyone on the panel drop their 2 cents. They have any?
Because I have a book that I bought from a priest. Greetings to you, brothers. Greetings. I have 3 books called God Gene Decoded, and it's from a priest from the Kemetic community, but he on a different level. He's really about that. So I want to show you some books before we discuss this picture you got up here, because I study that stuff too. This is one of the books. This is the second one. This is the third one. And the first one is right here. So I want to explain what was left out of it that messed up the conscious community and all that teachings. Okay. I'm a Muslim and I practice Islam, but I also practice a form of Black culture. And this form of culture in the Kemetic form is actually taught by voodoo priests. So you're looking at voodoo teachings taught by in the conscious community today, the wrong people. Only a priest can teach you this stuff. So this picture represents a god in such a sense where he had control. The gods of those times had control of their loins. And what messed up this teaching was they took out, you're not supposed to masturbate. because the energy that's in you, the life force that you have in you, they took that teaching out of the walls. So when you see the men performing on a level up high level of their level, they're not performing on a suratul mustaqim level of higher because God don't have sexual desires. A supreme intelligence like me, I have a wife, and being that I fast and meditate every day, other than just pray, because it has a lot of tools to it. You got to fast, you got to guard your loins, you got to think right, you can't masturbate. It's a lot of work that they don't show you on these hieroglyphics, but it's in the book that I have, and I want to put that on a. You can get it off of Amazon and some other sites, but this priest here, when he talked, I knew about Sonetta before I met Sonetta from this priest. So these teachings, I want you to look it up on YouTube or later on. His name is R.A. Waldron, the name of the book. And it breaks what y'all have down even more lucrative than, because a lot of people can't understand those type of teachings and those syllables. But this book break it down. It's 3 books and it breaks it all down what every syllable means.
Big bro, go ahead and you don't mind dropping the title of those books in the comment section so we can get, you know, we can all add that to our list of research. You know what I'm saying? Those who
Okay.
will and those who won't, we can leave them be. You know, we don't force information on anybody. We just pass it along and
That's
let
it.
those place in pocket who are willing.
Okay, the first one is God Gene Decoded. The second one is God Gene Decoded Volume 2 and God Gene Decoded Volume 3. And they break down the different levels of understanding in the genes of man.
Okay.
See, every human being is not a human being. and we eventually going to have to come to that understanding that the first human being wasn't even a man. And it's going to break a lot of religious worlds understanding too.
Word.
I mean, the simplified information is to cover the masses. Those
Yeah.
who
What was the
see
third one?
it's a part 3, right?
Yes. God Gene Decoded Volume 3. It's called Love is the Foundation of Practice of True Kabbalah. True Kabbalah. It talks about Kabbalah, it talks about all of that.
Word.
This priest don't even have a woman. He can't even have a woman in his life. That's how on the level he in. He don't even none of that. No masturbation, no none of that. No kids. He don't even have kids, bro.
Now, what's his name?
R.A. Waldron.
All right, you got that. Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm
he's
gonna
on
get back
YouTube. He got
to the
YouTube
rest.
channels too. They old. So that's it. That's all the information I wanted to give out as far as what you're showing on the
That's
screen.
definitely much obliged. I'm gonna get back into the video, and if you want, you can stay on the panel, and we could.
Definitely. I'm gonna want to be quiet now and learn. Yeah.
All right, bet. You got anything you want to add in, Chaos?
I mean, nah. You know me. I'm floating right now. I love to be on this level of of absorption. You feel me? So I'm eating it up.
Bet.
You can't mute.
Cursing or curse words, once again relating the language arts
All right, let
vocabulary
me take
to
that back a
words
couple
used
seconds.
in the magic traditions. A curse is something in whole, and to be composed is to feel and express from one's whole being with a serene, easy attitude, which is a major bonus to working magic. So-called bad words and profanity are called cursing or curse words, once again relating the language arts vocabulary to words used in the magic traditions. A curse is a magic utterance, consigning an object to evil. Cursive writing
Trying to add something?
No, I was just gonna say that so when the old folks when we was growing up, you know what I'm saying, and they'd be like, "Oh, don't say that you cursed, don't curse me." They used to hit you with that, and everybody used to have a problem with that. I ain't cursing you. You know, you would never think that, but they were taking that serious. You know what I'm saying? That the words were very important. When we were young, we just weren't in tune to what they were saying. But that's the proof right there. That's just struck me right there. Go carry on. My bad.
sprung from this. Pen and pencil come from pan and pentacle. Pan and pen can mean one, all, or five. And pentacles and pentagrams are magic tools used while spelling. Pen also meant feather. Pluma is a Spanish word for pen and feather. Ma'at, Tahuti's consort, has a feather as her symbol. The words script and scribe come from scarab, the dung beetle in Egypt. The scarab, or kepri as it was called in Egypt, is used to represent Ra. It means who brings into being. The scarab is also shaped like the human brain. In human terms, Ra is each person's ability to create. We are always Ra, and we are always creating. Egyptian texts say the created world came from out of the mouth of Ra. The mouth is the symbol for one or unity in hieroglyphics. This is connected with Tahuti as well, who was mentioned earlier. Tahuti is the power of sound or word. Tahuti was said to utter Ra's words to create the world. Tahuti and his lady Ma'at, in her form as Seshat, the lady of the occult mysteries, are known as the lords of the scribes, relating back to where we started this point, scarab being related to scribe. Even the letters of Tahuti's name in the Greek pronunciation seem to relate this secret code of squaring the circle. Thoth, an alternative form of Tahuti, is made of squares in the form of the T square and H square, two different tools of master masons. And the O, or circle, or 360. Tahuti is known as master of the city of Ogdad, 8, in Kumunu, Hermopolis. All letter geometries are formed through an 8-point star superimposed on a squared circle. The Egyptian mathematical principle of squaring the circle not only was used to develop all alphabetical systems, it was also used in conjunction with mantra incantations as an equation to build the pyramids. Referring back to the number 9, or numerology of all angles in sacred geometry, 72 degrees, 108 degrees, 36 degrees, 90 degrees, 360 degrees, 180 degrees, etc., that we brought up in relation to the word writing and right angles is important when discussing squaring the circle. As was mentioned moments ago, Tahuti is master of the city of 8, and he is associated with the number 8. In the squaring the circle equation, 9 cubits always represented the diameter of the circle, and 8 cubits the sides of the square. 9 represents the Necheru, 9 gods who are one as Ra, or the circular sun disk animating all creation with spirit's solar force. And 8 represents the manifested world as we experience it. The 8-9 ratio is considered a perfect tone in Kemet, Egypt, and used extensively in many temples and pyramid architecture. Words, whether verbal or internal, are magically creating our personal worlds and our shared world. We are thankful to bring more awareness to our language and to be able to use it more purposefully and deliberately. Mehu Sia Heka the Egyptian trinity of word, sound, power, be ever guiding our magical utterances. Amen.
All right. That's some deep stuff. So, from
That was deep.
what I learned was
Mm.
be weary of your curse words.
I learned something else too.
What you got?
There's some trigonometry in that.
Yeah. You
I see the trick. I see how the conscious community took those teachings and used it to trick people because they use the same symbols. They wear it.
Mm-hmm.
I
They
had a
adopted the Freemason ways, but they don't call themselves Masons. They call themselves Kemet, and they adapt. That's Masonry at its finest, bro.
You ever heard of the House of Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
See, I'm connected to all of those people because I'm from a part of Brooklyn where back in the 70s, when the Reagan era hit, they was already establishing. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So I can go back all the way to the 70s.
Yeah. See, like me, I'm one of those. Like I don't have no affiliation. Like all of my knowledge is like from personal travels and associations, and you know it. It's never
And
been somebody trying to drill me down so I can catch up to rank up. You know what I mean? Never
mhm.
had that experience.
I've been watching all of the leaders all my life.
And
Even
not
in Africa, when I was in Africa, the
uh,
sheikhs, my sheikh, he knew Sheikh Hassan, he knew Farrakhan on a different level. So he was my first psychiatrist, a leader of the Muslim Ummah. So when we would talk about these things,
we're in Africa.
Senegal, West Africa.
Okay, okay.
So when you
Yes.
study the Gula Geechees in the Carolinas, most of their food is from Senegal.
Right. Okay.
We're gonna get into that deep too. I got
Yeah.
somebody else I want you to meet. I gotta get into contact with them. But on top of that, now that you bring me to, you said that the conscious community was using this teaching to deceive people, and that brings me to today's curveball.
Hey, already?
Let me go ahead and wind it up. Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
But it's
This
so
this
early.
one, yeah, it's for good reason. It's for good reason. Trust and belief.
I know
We
you
gonna
got
get
some weapons over there.
my boy said that the conscious community was using these teachings to deceive.
They made up programs for women to manipulate men into pedophilia.
And look what I already had loaded up. Mm, mm,
Mm.
mm. No other than your very own big little bro, polite. Oh, let me do my due diligence. Shout out to Turtle Gang NYC. This video is for educational purposes. I don't want our people out here getting scammed by this man again and his mini trades and tricks and everything else. Here we go.
What's up, family? We up here. We in Columbus, Ohio, with the king right here. We got our real estate company. Our development company. Making it happen. It's the first of its kind for Ohio and believed to be the largest of its kind in the entire country. Thanks for staying with us at 5:30. I'm Mark Taylor. And I'm Ellie Merritt. We are talking about the Miriam Project going up on Old Leonard Avenue. That's where NBC4's Ted Hart is live tonight with an inside look at some new apartments there made from old cargo containers. Ted? So right now we're working on a 26-unit project in Columbus, Ohio. But the very unique thing about it is we're using cargo bins to build them. And we're going to explain the science behind that. And you're going to see what we're talking about. We're talking about cargo bins to build buildings. This is
Bro, like I remember when this came out, bro. It was so believable when it first came out. But like hindsight is always 2020, and knowing what I know about him today, you could see the whole mannerisms is like he looking down. He don't even believe what he's saying himself. Oh,
I mean, as an honest person, he might have been a decent salesman somewhere, but outside of that, I'm not impressed.
Me neither.
all right, it's a short video. It's like 3 minutes left. When we get back into it.
Pioneer adventure. This is something that's not being done throughout America. See these right here? We're using these giant cargo bins to build properties.
Well, and Ellie, it's already beginning to take shape. You can see 54 shipping containers that have now been stacked next to and on top of each other, creating the framework for a new 3-story apartment complex.
So what we do, we recycle these bins and we create properties.
It's basically a prefab 17,000 square foot structure. Typically, to frame out a structure that large, you are looking at over 3 months. What you see here was done in 5 days.
And what's happening is cutting the time. So literally, we can get the chassis of a property built inside of 5 to 8 days. 5 to 8 days. 5 to 8 days. In contrast to a month and a half to 2 months that it normally takes. The chassis, by chassis, we mean framework. So we get the frame of a house done inside of 5 to 8 days.
And developer Derek Pryor says that's a huge savings in construction costs.
These bins cost us about $1,700 a bin.
And it's crazy because he's taking credit from other black people. And that's what makes it so despicable, man. Like, that's a black woman and another black man who he's taking credit for.
There's a name for that kind of people.
It's easy to claim somebody else's success, but it's hard to be successful.
There's a name for this kind of people.
All right. I don't even want his face on my screen no more. I'm gonna have the open panel. So, anything y'all boys wanted to throw in?
There's a name for that type of man. It ain't the rake. Yeah, it is a rake. He a rake. He attached himself to everything and claim it as his.
Well, I mean,
he say he wrote over 90 books, 90 plus books.
That's the personality of a rake.
Okay, wait, okay. You know what my job is. So let's just say,
Here you go.
right? The dude, the little dude, the goggles on his head. What if he was like, hey, we need to attach a celebrity to our name so that look, this is the conscious dude. Let me holler at him, and then let's see how this go. And if it goes good, then I'm gonna holler at my people. And then if it don't, then it ain't no big deal because not everybody know conscious dude. But it just got out. You know what I'm saying? And it was just it was like I said, he might have been a good salesman somewhere one day.
So you saying that these developers got him to
No. I didn't say the developers. I said whoever that one individual with little goggles on his head. Because he's probably the only one stupid enough to think that was a good idea.
Oh, yeah. He was working for the construction site. He got fired.
Yeah. He probably wasn't even involved with any. He's probably signed not a single piece of paperwork involved with the project whatsoever. But you know, I've definitely done my share of selling a product I totally did not believe in. I've definitely had my share of selling products I know weren't worth the money that I was getting paid for them, so that I could get my commission, so I could eat that weed. This cat wasn't doing any of that. Like, there's There's clout chasing, and then there is it's the camera.
Plagiarism.
Yeah. Facts wrong, like no attention to detail.
But that's unlearned behavior.
Yeah.
You know, a priest revealed to me all these secrets. I'm talking about all these secrets. How the
Mhm.
pedophilia works, how the women are so involved in it.
Oh, we gonna get into that off panel. Trust, just stay on the
Ooh,
panel, bro. Just stay on the panel.
it's just
Uh,
the and it. No, I'm telling you, it's so much stuff on my mind. Sometimes I gotta, you know,
already, I got you. But yeah, we
yeah,
just go keep this with old history, and
because the
from that,
history of this teaching it was taught by MK Ultra stuff,
mm,
and the conscious community used MK Ultra on the community, bro. They adopted the ways of the government, of the system, and applied it to their own people. That's a dangerous weapon.
the most dangerous.
Every
And
single.
it detached us from our true identities.
They
So
hmm,
I got another one loaded up in the chamber. I'm gonna launch this one, and then that should probably end the live stream for the night. I'm gonna see y'all thoughts after the video. Once again, this is the King's Table Podcast. Today we talking about American history and the
definitely.
linguistics and the deception of which. So I'm gonna launch this video up. Y'all stay tuned.
Wanted to make something special and have something soft. Grammarly can help you.
All right, so this video is over an hour long, and this is called Part One: From Indigenous American to African American
Mm,
Anthropology, Oldest Bones Found, Historic. From my boy Kurimio, how I can't even pronounce that last name. That's him. Y'all go subscribe because I'm surely am right now. You saw it live. All right, we're gonna get into the video. I'm gonna probably play maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes, and if it intrigues you, y'all can go check it out on your own. All right, I gotta get past this.
Wow.
Cool intro, but
Shalom,
we gotta get into the
Shabbatah.
history, brother.
So glad to be.
They built the homes of their masters in the midst of the most humiliating and oppressive
Are you
conditions.
serious?
Get out of a bottom.
Grabbing, no good. You just had a video on my video, like y'all being greedy with it. I might have to just pay for the premium too.
You just
That's
heard
what you're
Dr.
telling
Martin
me?
Luther King tell you that before the Pilgrim's father landed here, he was
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Now, what did he mean by this? What exactly did he mean by saying you were here? This was towards the end of his speech that day, and he slipped it right in there, to the people that were listening to him that day. So it's either two things, right? Well, this only could be one thing, but basically, people who are still kind of brainwashed, only one thing they could assume is that he's talking about maybe Africans, slaves that had come over, that were already there. And we're talking about 1620, right? When the Pilgrims arrived in 1620, he's saying, you were there. You were already there before 1620. They say the first Negroes that arrived, or African slaves that arrived in America, so-called African slaves, was in 1619 in Virginia. All right, so is he talking about that, or is he talking about the aboriginals, copper-colored aboriginals, so-called Negroes that were living in New England? We're gonna talk about those first Africans from 1619, so-called Africans. We're gonna show you where they really came from, who they really were, a little bit later. So Now, in New England, this is what the Pilgrims encountered. Now, as you can see from this image, these are clearly so-called Negroes, in this drawing from 1600s by the book of John Ogilvy, right? And a lot of people know who this is, and you can Google that, his name, John Ogilvy, and look at the images that he draws of the American Indians, and you'll see they're all copper-colored tribes. Now it says here, New Netherlanders apparel. It says modern New England, Delmarva Peninsula, Cape Cod, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Connecticut, with small outposts in Pennsylvania and Rhode
I'll
Island.
be right back.
Book by John Ogilvy, 1600 to 1676, issued in 1671. And take a look at their clothes. Look at this. Look at their clothes. They don't look half naked. Well, you're looking at the one in the back. She's just being free. She's probably comfortable like that. I'm sure she wears clothes sometimes on the top. But you can see the male on his dress.
I'm gonna stop you.
Right? Looks more like Roman, right? Spartan, Greek than
All right.
depict savages.
So from there, you can watch on your own. I just want to get this live stream ended already. We done hit that hour mark. I'm gonna chop this video up in so many clips. This is such a clipawation. And like always, man, think with greatness, because these dogs, I swear, I get going off my brain.
Salute.
Let me get into the think with greatness, y'all. Hold up. Conscious community. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The new conscious community. Yeah. Right here on the King's Table Podcast. Thank you, greatness.
Blessings.